What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. We've looked at some great Titan builds over the last few weeks, and today we're back at it with another new Titan build that will be a perfect option for easy damage throughout Heresy. This new build combines the explosive power of the new Storm's Keep aspect with a Hazardous Propulsion exotic chess piece. Ever since this exotic came out, it's been able to amplify the performance of Titans who are using rocket-centric builds. It's been a great option when using Prismatic, but since the Hazardous Propulsion can play off of the use of the new Storm's Keep aspect, which is going to create continuous bolt charges, we're going to have a lot of powerful synergy whenever using this with the standard Arc subclass. With Storm's Keep equipped, we will grant ourselves with a full stack of bolt charges whenever we cast our Rally Barricade. Bolt charges would normally require the use of an ability to be activated, but by standing near our barricade, we'll be able to quickly build up and trigger bolt charges with our weapons, and that'll go the same for allies who are standing within the range of our barricade. Thanks to the new Flashover artifact mod, we've been able to increase the damage of our bolt charges by an astonishing 150%. So needless to say, Storm's Keep has attributed to some insane levels of damage against several raid and dungeon bosses so far here in Heresy, and we'll be able to play into that to give ourselves even more damage output with the use of the Hazardous Propulsion. As we deal damage and defeat enemies with our weapons, we'll build up charges of Exodus rockets. Precision hits and precision final blows provide the most progress, and we can build up a total of 6 Exodus rockets. Each rocket can deal up to 600 points of base damage, and that's going to count as kinetic damage, which means the damage of these rockets could be increased with the use of kinetic weapon surges and buffs like Radiance. Once we have stacks of Exodus rockets available, they will get launched out whenever we cast our barricade, which lines up great with Storm's Keep, because as those enemies get hit by rockets, they'll be getting struck by lightning. Based on the type of weapons that we're using, we'll be able to build up Exodus rockets faster. Weapons like sniper rifles, rocket sidearms, bows, and linear fusion rifles provide the most progress, with auto rifles, machine guns, and trace rifles coming in at the bottom end of the totem pole. The rockets themselves will deal out a considerable amount of damage, but what's just as important of a benefit is the damage bonus that we'll receive after Exodus rockets have struck. Based on how many rockets find their targets, we'll gain bonus damage to weapons that have rocket launcher style qualities. With one rocket landing, we will receive a 10% increase in damage, but by landing all of our rockets, we'll gain a 35% increase in damage, which will last for 10 seconds. This bonus damage will get applied to Nano Tracer rockets, which are found on all of the Neptune weapons, and those are also available on the Quicksilver Storm, which is an especially powerful option right now, and that's because of all the Strand-centric artifact mods that we have, which we'll talk about here soon. Because of the additional damage that these weapons create, you'll find it easier to build up bolt charges, so if you passed up on getting those Neomuna weapons, you might want to reconsider, and at least go farm a Circular Logic, because running a machine gun can provide its own benefits right now, and that's because of the Heavy Ordnance Regeneration artifact mod. That's going to provide us with a 25% bonus in damage resistance, and it's also going to provide improved ability regeneration after dealing sustained damage with any heavy machine gun. We would also gain this benefit when using rocket launchers, so no matter which option we go with, we'll be able to rely on the bonus resistance and bonus ability energy. Heavy machine guns do gain the benefit of stunning overload champions right now, which does make the Circular Logic an even stronger option, but I digress. All of the legendary rocket sidearms will receive this bonus damage, and so will the Buried Bloodline. This offers some interesting benefits, as it will inflict enemies with a 15% debuff, which would increase all sources of damage against those targets. We would also gain the benefits of Devour, which would grant us with bonus grenade energy and bonus health regeneration. Arc builds aren't typically known for their survival skills, so adding Devour into the mix would really help. Wolfpack rounds that come from the Gallarhorn or the Ergo Sum will have their damage buffed when using this exotic. We don't have a lot of reasons to use swords right now, but when Act 2 drops, rocket launchers will be able to stun unstoppable champs, so the Gallarhorn might become a really solid option. There's also several legendary rocket launchers that would fit in very nicely based on what activity that we're jumping into and what modifiers are present. The Apex Predator, the Crux Termination, and the Cold Comfort continue to be some of the most powerful options in terms of overall damage potential. Because of the damage over time aspect, the Dragon's Breath would also make a great option. The rocket volleys created by the Grand Overture exotic heavy machine gun will be able to reap the benefits of our damage bonus. Those volleys will also blind enemies, which could help us build up bolt charges even faster whenever using the dielectric mod, which provides us with extra bolt charges whenever defeating enemies who are blinded or jolted. The only problem with running Grand Overture is its ammo economy. With that in mind, you might find it beneficial to have a glaive at the ready and have the No Bell artifact mod equipped. This way you'll be able to create special ammo whenever landing rapid final blows with a glaive, which isn't going to help on the ammo economy of the Grand Overture and other heavy weapons, but it would help us have more ammo with our rocket sidearms and our other special weapons. There's a number of additional artifact mods that we'll be able to rely on right now, but before we talk about those, let's go ahead and check out what we've got going on under the hood of this Striker class tree. To go along with Storm's Keep, we've got the Knockout aspect equipped. This will provide us with a source of health regeneration through the means of our powered melee. This also grants us with increased melee damage, which will be a big help when we get swarmed by enemies. When it comes to our fragments, we've got Spark of Amplitude, which is going to turn us into a fountain of orbs. When we're amplified, we'll create orbs of power whenever we rapidly defeat enemies, and those orbs will grant us with bonus health restoration thanks to the use of the Recuperation Boots mod. They're also going to trigger a 17% bonus in weapon damage with the use of weapon surge mods. Since we don't have Radiance with this build, we won't be able to get that 20% damage bonus unless we're getting it from an ally, so this will be the next best thing. We've got Spark of Ions active, so as we defeat jolted and blinded enemies, we'll create ionic traces. We're also going to create ionic traces whenever defeating enemies with bolt charges. Ionic traces intrinsically provide a 12.5% bonus towards our grenade and melee abilities, and a 15% bonus towards class ability, providing us with a ton of bonus energy to keep all of our abilities active. But more importantly, it'll help us activate our barricade much more often, which will help us maximize on the advantages of using Hazardous Propulsion and Storm's Keep. With Spark of Discharge active, our arc weapons will have a chance to create ionic traces on final blows, and every time we collect an ionic trace, we will gain an additional stack of bolt charges. We only need 10 stacks in total, so with all of these different sources adding in, we'll be able to trigger continuous bolt charges, helping us inflict a ton of additional damage onto our enemies, which is going to help us take down high value targets, champions, raid, and dungeon bosses much more easily. The final fragment that we're using is Spark of Resistance, which will provide us with a 15% bonus in damage resistance whenever we are surrounded. Amplified now provides us with a 15% bonus in damage resistance, so with the two together, we'll have around 27% additional resistance. And that's before factoring in the damage resistance bonuses that we're going to get from heavy ordnance regeneration. If we were to be using special and heavy arc weapons like the Psycho Pump, the Indebted Kindness, the Crux Termination, or Grand Overture, then we would find a great deal of benefit in using Spark of Beacons instead of Spark of Resistance. This way our special and heavy weapons will trigger a blinding explosion on final blows, rendering our enemies incapable of fighting back for several seconds. We'd miss out on some of the resistance bonuses, but we'd be able to give ourselves more real-time advantages against larger and stronger groups of enemies, giving us time to set off bolt charges and activate Exodus rockets. With class tree selections addressed, let's switch gears and talk about the rest of our artifact mods and recommended loadouts. There is a limit to how many artifact mods that we can have active at once, but there's several void and strain-centric artifact mods that are going to provide us with situational benefits. So based on the activities that we're in, the modifiers that we've got to deal with, and what energy type that we've got with our weapons, we're going to need to change these artifact mods up to fit our current situation. As an example, the Defibrillating Blast mod provides amazing benefits when there are champions present, but if there's no champions in the activity, then another mod would be more beneficial. Whenever we're loaded up with strained weapons, we'll want to take advantage of the benefits of mods like Unraveling Orbs, Disruptor Break, and Horde Shuttle. This way we can apply Unraveling against enemies, which will apply damage over time, and will create Threadlings, which will seek out nearby enemies, triggering strained explosions on impact. A few strained weapons that are proving to be very strong options right now are the Scatter Signal Fusion Rifle, the Call Rocket Sidearm, the Unsworn Trace Rifle, the Breachlight Sidearm, and the Round Robin Hand Cannon from Neomuna. In situations where we're loaded up with a lot of void weapons, like in the Hypernet Current Grandmaster for example, we'll want to make use of Volatile Marksman, Maligned Harvest, and Void Flux. This way we can trigger a perpetual loop of volatile explosions and bursts of weakening, keeping our enemies inflicted with a 15% debuff, helping us chew through those enemies even faster. We've mentioned a fair amount of solid weapon options so far. For most occasions, the Buried Bloodline will be our go-to option because of its ability to weaken and provide Devour. But when it comes to optimal damage, the exotic that I keep coming back to has been the Lord of Wolves. It doesn't have any tie-ins to the use of Hazardous Propulsion, but it does work exceptionally well with Storm's Keep. It's become one of the most dominating options for burst damage right now, so there's no reason to not try to incorporate this weapon when possible, especially since it's able to create bolt charges extremely fast. We can easily slide this into a rotation of weapons that features a rocket sidearm, a trace rifle, a glaive, or one of the Neomuna weapons in the kinetic slot, with the Lord of Wolves as our energy weapon, and a legendary rocket launcher or machine gun as our heavy option, but that's going to be the setup that we would go to for maximum damage. One of the greatest benefits of the Hazardous Propulsion is that it's able to work with so many different weapons, so you're able to freely interchange your loadouts to suit your current needs. And unlike exotics like the insurmountable Skullfort or the Syntheseps, you're not getting forced into up-close situations, giving you more freedom when it comes to your engagements against enemies, which can make this a really easy-to-use build that can help newer and even inexperienced players have success in more challenging activities. So if you're a Titan who's looking for an easy-to-use build that will deal out a ton of damage, then you're going to need to check out this Hazardous Propulsion Storm's Keep build. Level up that Lord of Wolves catalyst and go see how much damage you can pump out. And once you've done that, let us know what your overall thoughts of Storm's Keep, the Lord of Wolves, and Hazardous Propulsion are. If you need help getting today's build set up, then be sure to check out the dim and Mobalytics links that are provided down below. That's going to wrap things up for today's video, but thank you as always for checking it out. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.
I could feel that one from all the way outside.